Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we continue the NHL 22 Wishlist series, part number 4, and we're still just trying to get through comments in the first one. So guys, thank you so much for all of the feedback. And again, I think this is a better way to utilize the channel and give feedback to the developers in terms of things that I think are really good. As well, guys, if you see comments in these videos that you agree with, if you're going through and you're looking, give them a like. That way I can kind of, sort out what ones you guys really agree with. As, there is some obviously that, are repeating themselves, and I definitely get you there. But there's also been some things I've seen and I've already relayed to the developers about potential changes for 22. And obviously, guys, we're not talking about, a lot of the other modes and things like that. We're focusing on HUT for this one specifically. I'll probably do another video series where we talk about all the other stuff as well, because there is a lot that we want to improve in NHL 22, and getting a discussion started is probably the best way to start it. So, guys, that being said, please subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy the content. I'm almost at 26,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it. And give the video a like if you did enjoy it. All right, let's get into and pick up where we left off in the prior one. And we will start with Nitro ECW Gaming. Let's go, old wrestling fan here. Here we are. All right, away with the synergies. For example, I'm an Avs fan. I want to use McKinnon card, but there's no way to use them without changing half my team around. Because the synergies don't match, throw away the synergies or give me synergy cards I can put on players as I want. Mentioned this in the last video. I'm a big proponent for this, man. I think that Ultimate Team should be more about Ultimate Team and less about, hey, if I want to remain competitive in this game, I don't want to have to use a certain card because the synergies fit, and that's just lame, right? Like, not to mention, if you're an Avs fan, how about allowing McKinnon to actually play center with a face-off rating that makes sense? I'm with you 100% here. Again, I think synergies are a fun part. I think that some sort of crafting system or maybe ability to unlock a synergy, like say he comes with shutdown, but if you get to level 2 or 3 parallel, which I mentioned in the prior videos, which needs to be in Ultimate Team modes, maybe he unlocks a second synergy, something like that. 100% though, I agree, there needs to be something here. But Matthew says, I think they should borrow any idea from NBA 2K's My Team. The evolution cards they have where if they hit milestones of the player they upgrade would be nice to see. 100%. That's the parallel system in MLB. If you perform with that card, you get XP with that card. That card individually, the attributes go up to a cap of +5. 100% needs to be one of the biggest focuses. Will Talks Disney. I agree with your suggestions as they would keep the players involved with events, especially if the master player choices are a little off. Also, anything to make Primetime Team the weak cards more relevant would be great. Love the idea of parallels, especially if you have a favorite card that is a little lower rated. Here's what I would really like to see. Purple ratings go up as the season progresses. They start out as 86+, and through the first couple of weeks and events, that'd be a great pull. But by November, getting base 86 cards, heartbreaking. Would love them to move up. Purple, 100% agree with this. It's really frustrating, and I hope that is something that they actually do fix. All right, 2, packs with a higher guarantee players. By grinding your face off for a week and getting an ultimate pack or others and getting an 85 base card high is frustrating. Packs this year have been so hit or miss, and yes, I spent too much money, and it's the worst feeling week after week to get nothing. If people get a guaranteed card, they'd spend more money or coins on them. You could limit them to 1 per week, but that would make this better. 100%. I think that, and Madden already has this. Like, Madden has those, like, topper cards. 100%, man. Like, I absolutely agree. And I hope it's something that we see in the future because, I said this before, even as a free-to-play player, that's fine. Even as a pay-to-play player, you're not guaranteed anything, which is just brutal. NHL centers that can actually play center in NHL. I've said this since I've joined the Game Changer program. My goal this year, like realistic goal, is that every center in Hockey Ultimate Team at launch of NHL 22 has a minimum of 80 faceoffs. That way, as they progress throughout the year, they can at least play center because, we have not ever been able to use Nathan McKinnon at center or Matthews for that matter. A little bit more, but like it's brutal, man. Absolutely brutal. That needs to be addressed more than anything, and it's a shame because it's so simple. You just look at their face-off ratings over the past 3 years and come up with a rating. Like, all right, exchange analytics. Give us some basic metrics like what the last card sold and above average. That would be great. Seeing the last, the last price sold, that would be really cool for the market. I agree. Only allow untradeable packs as an option. Rivals, having them untradeable after you complete objectives or hut rushes so frustrating. Why do we even need untradeable cards? They have been so careful about protecting the market this year. And while I think after what happened in NHL 19, where the market was a complete joke, 18 was an absolute gong show. And it slowly got better. But now we're at this point where they are so careful with it. Not as bad as, was it 20 or 19 where basically your entire team ended up being untradeable? Not that this is much better, but they do give you ways to make your cards untradeable by spending more. But I agree. Like, I don't know what it is. I mean, if you have an idea of what a card should cost and you just allow more out there, sure, that will drive the cost down, but then that makes the actual value of your coins mean a little bit, Like, you don't get a lot of coins from playing the game. Like, you do not get a lot of coins from winning a game and just playing one in Rivals. You don't get a lot of coins, doing offline challenges. So I don't know. I don't understand it really. Eliminate speed synergies or randomize 2 options for synergy. Spark, Distributor, Howitzer, and Speedster have felt super overpowered this year, and synergy have played too big of a role in Out 21. Now with the game basically over, I've gone to been using players I want, but before, if a player was too slow or I had Heart and Soul early on, no one wanted to use that card. I think Parallels will help with this too. I 100% agree. Here's the problem. So this is what makes the development and progression in Hockey Ultimate Team so much difficult than all the other modes or sports, is that it does not matter anything else. Speed is it. You will always, the player base will always prioritize speed over anything else. And to argue that is just simply wrong. Like, unless it's size on defensemen. Like, there are, like, I mentioned this a ton. You could have really, really slow players, but if they're huge and you know how to really use them well, that is an advantage as well. But 99% of the player base, it's whatever is the fastest. And it sucks, but that's how hockey is played. Like, if you can burn someone down the wing and get yourself a breakaway or 2-on-1 every time, like, that's what you're going to do. So the only way I think that you can do this is to just remove the speed synergies. However, the problem with that is that you've now eliminated basically any player that isn't deemed fast. Like, everyone would just go after McDavid and McKinnon, which they should, to be honest with you. But, like, I think about that Chris Pronger card or Brett Hull. He's famously slow and early on. He's got a great shot, but, like, you're not really able to use him effectively because he's so slow. So I'm not sure what to do there, but it is the most difficult thing to figure out. I agree with the synergy stuff, though, 100%. Get rid of random master set for GC turn-ins. Nothing more frustrating than saving your GCs for a new event, not being able to get the card you want. The price escalated so ridiculous to a point where casual players could never collect 22 GCs in time, but to only have random options is absurd, like it was for Team of the Season. Learn from the style icons, NHL Moments events, and then also where you could go back and progress your card over the event and not just put 25 GCs. Looking back, without being able to upgrade your master set, there's really no point in using GCs to get them, and they have been locked in untradeable card you couldn't use again. Again, why do we need untradeable cards in this game? Dude, you drilled it on the head. I have been saying this in the Game Changer chat for the entirety of NHL 22. The cost to make these cards progressed, but the cards didn't really progress enough to be worth that. Like, a 97 overall card now costs 25 gold collectibles or 22, whatever, which is just an astronomical amount to actually acquire, especially if you're free to play. But the upgrade from what we have on our teams already is not big enough to require that. It's not like it's not like it's launch and you're going from base McDavid to 97 Team of the Year or 97 Stanley Cup Kucherov. I could get behind that. 25 gold collectibles, sure. Probably even 30. That would make sense. Something to grind for. Okay, you have a significant advantage over anyone else. But dude, all of your cards and master items from the prior events are like 1 overall below that. Like, there's no reason, especially with synergies involved. I don't get it. Again, I've said this before. The Heiskin at the launch of the game was significantly better than every defenseman, essentially, and he cost like 7 or 8, and you used him forever. But while the overalls went up, all as well do the cards that aren't master items. So I agree. I really dislike the cost, and I'm not sure on how they value that in the market and the methods they use to calculate that, because there is something they are doing their due diligence, but I don't think it's the way to go. And 100%, I think every card should just be tradable, unless it is what I mentioned earlier, where I think that there should be For Rivals, I think it could be 2 seasons long, coincide with the event that's going on. You get a guaranteed exclusive card choice pack. That, I agree, I think should be untradeable. And same with the Hut Champs card. I'm actually a firm believer that Hut Champs card probably should, because those cards are like an ultimate flex. And wow, I think that there should be also an option to choose a significant amount of coins instead of just, whatever Hut Champs cards up, because they're so hard to obtain. But that's a whole other conversation. But I agree 100% with this whole statement. Get rid of untradeable cards. I agree. Outside of some of them. Take off the time limits of getting event cards. People have lives outside of Hut, and if your favorite player or team gets only one master item ever, New York Islander, Barzal, or even your favorite player shouldn't have to drop everything in your life for 2 weeks to get them. Keep master set items available duration of the season. So the only I can get behind that. The only thing I don't like about that is it cheapens each event that comes out. So, let me try to think of an example here. Try to use an example. Okay, the 94 flashback event, which is widely considered the best event in terms of competitive cards that you can use. Like, almost every card was incredible. And the very next event, I don't remember what the next event was. Let's say it was Style Icons, okay? Style Icons means a little bit less because, hey, I can still go back and make the far superior cards. Like, it reduces it a little bit. However, there should be an option to create a master item or go back at any point, just like what they did with Matthews. I don't think it should be free. I think it should be what the Moments event did, where it was like, do all these objectives, okay? And then it'll be a fraction of the cost. It'll cost like 7 gold collectibles. Sure. Like that is, I think you run the risk of what happened with Matthews. Everyone ended up with Matthews or Ovechkin. And if you go back to NHL 19, I believe, when we got the free legendary card for just logging in every month, by like the 5th month, everyone had the same team. And that's what you want to avoid, right? But I agree. I 100% agree with this sentiment. If you can't get on for 2 weeks, it's very difficult. Event objectives that will actually rewards for playing the game. Style Icons and NHL players have been great, willing to put in the time. Here's a master item where 8 collectors are putting in the work. Keep up those, and no, I don't expect... Oh, okay. I agree with this sentiment. However, it's very bland, but they are doing what they can do within the parameters of what the game mode allows in terms of the content team. They need the functionality to make things a little bit more interesting. So instead of having just an offline, block 5 shots, score on the power play, whatever, blanket against whatever team that the master set player is for. It should be like, hey, Nikita Kucherov scored 4 goals in this game. On Pro, score 4 goals in Nikita Kucherov in this event. That would make offline challenges a lot more interesting. And it could be player locked, like he doesn't get off the ice. Like that would be, imagine you just player locked with and it went be a pro style. That is how you make offline mode that much more impactful, just like MLB. I think Hut, it just felt like this year you had to be borderline obsessive and addicted to get anywhere in the game. Even spending money doesn't help you because the packs are so bad. It also felt like we would take 1 step forward and then 3 steps back. Like when the Sage of Summer, we couldn't get the cards for 6 weeks. Seeing your face when you realized that was heartbreaking because you tried to hype up the event, got everyone excited, and said, now you wait. 2 weeks, sure, you've got the card in Hut Rush, but you really need to learn from that event. Overall, they are close, but with some tweaks. I agree. So I am big on any company making changes to try out new things. Because if they don't, you end up with the same thing that we had in Hut for years, which is basically like, here's a new event, here's a specialized collectible, and that's it. And now we're at that point where now it's like, hey, it was getting to the point where it's like, okay, collect this amount of collectibles, and here's whatever the newest card is. They tried numerous different things. Like remember in the flashback or the trade deadline event, blockbuster event, it was like, hey, we don't want you to create a master item and then hamstring your synergies. We're going to give you multiple options as synergies. I think that's really cool. Like that was a good change, an attempt. The Style Icons event where it's like, hey, do all these objectives, you get a free card. NHL Moments, okay, maybe not as intense, but hey, we're going to allow this to be in the game the whole time, and it'll cost you a fraction or half the cost. Great idea. Yeah, there was a lot of negative feedback from me, and maybe I went a little too far. But yeah, I did not like the fact that they waited with Kaprizov, but that was a whole other thing. But I agree. I do like that they did change. Some of them, it did feel sometimes that they went one step forward, three steps back. So I think they learned a lot, to be honest with you. Just speaking with the Hut content team, they did. All right, complete revamp of franchise. See, I disagree with that, man. I think franchise is half decent. I think that if they get roster sharing and an updated trade, I don't know how to say this, realistic trades that actually happen in game, we're in a pretty good spot. I like the new trade deadline feature. I think that stuff is nice. The coaching, the scouting, all of that. Again, if you play other franchise modes, they haven't been touched in decades. I mean, like the Madden got so blasted at the launch of this for Madden that they had to focus, they had to issue statements and everything. So I don't think a complete revamp is necessary. I think they need roster sharing. They put roster sharing in the game and, you put in Tugi's rosters, your franchise experience is going to be 10 times better. And if you don't believe me, go watch my Buffalo Sabres series from last year because I did Tugi's rosters. It took me 72 hours to implement everything, but 100%. From Vince MCN, I really hope they calm down on tripping penalties. I know I'm responsible for pressing the poke check button, but sometimes I call BS. And it would make players play hockey, not try to make opponents go... Okay, the risk you run with that is, I think, NHL... Oh, God, I get them mixed up. I think it was NHL 19 where you could just spam poke check, and it was a mess. Because then everyone is just swinging their stick back and forth. I wouldn't touch that. I wouldn't touch poke checks. Like, in terms of making them weaker. Like, I don't know. It's very difficult. That's a very thin line. From Emmett, he says that they should add a message chat for each card like in fantasy hockey so you and other people can discuss a card anytime. Unfortunately, that would open up to a lot of negativity because people are just brutal, and some of the people in this community would be insane and probably get banned, and it would be awful. But I don't know about that. That would require an extensive... No Ultimate Team mode has that. That would require an extensive amount of things added in, so I don't know about that. Brandon Kelly, yes, leaderboard record and based on rivals points. I like the 2-week, but to change it to 20 games a week, not including champs, so we get rewards every week. Don't need champs games to get rivals points. Let me see here. Yes, we need guaranteed rewards based on how high you finish, such as top 500 gets an 84 plus, 400, but if everyone gets Team of the Week packs, prices will be dirt cheap. That's fine, man. If prices are cheap, prices are cheap. Maybe make it untradeable. Don't be able to sell them, those Team of the Week packs. It's a choice pack, you get it, you get it. It's a chance at something. We need exchange sets for untradeable items. Challenges need to end once challenge is completed. I don't need to rag 2 periods. Yes, man. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yes, they need to end once you complete it, 100%. No Hut Champs can be overall, no Hut Champs cannot be overall capped. There'd be no reason to play and upgrade your team. Also, EA would never do that because they need money. However, I agree with win-based rewards. So here's why I disagree with Hut Champs being capped. There'd be no reason to play and upgrade your team. My man, there is unlimited combinations of what you could do. And the min-maxing that you would be doing would drastically make team building that much more thoughtful. Not to mention, Rivals is uncapped. So if you increase the rewards for Rivals and actually make them worth it, there's definitely an advantage for that in terms of upgrading your team. Again, I look at what MLB does with events, and it's a lot like with the comp season system, and I don't know if comp seasons is necessarily the way to go in the NHL because it does fracture the player base even smaller. I think that if you make Rivals, a little bit better in terms of rewards and whatnot, then you're on the right track here. So I don't know if I agree with that. Again, this game is influenced probably more than any other sports game when you have a high-rated team. Okay, so I know a lot of people are like, man, it's pay to win and whatnot. There are games that you will lose because someone winds up with the Keandre Miller from, center ice and is able to score with it. That does happen from time to time. Is it consistent? No, because the best players in the world are still the best players in the world and they will win 9 times out of 10. But there are games like that because that's hockey, and, the higher overalls you have, sometimes that will increase your method. So I don't know. I think that from a competitive standpoint, almost every competitive player would agree that having an overall cap would be huge. And again, I'm not saying, hey, you can't have 95 overall players. I'm saying the average, you eliminate backup goalies. Okay. You eliminate defensive awareness and not defensive awareness, but like discipline, all the ones that don't have any impact on the game, aggression on players. And then, you get an overall. Okay, so you could put 99 Mario, Lemieux, and Gretzky in your lineup. The rest of your lineup is significantly going to be smaller. That's going to increase some of the lower overall cards. Like that Lit Duchesne would still be usable at the end stage of the game because you could put him in your lineup, and that's a great fourth liner for Hut Champs. So that's what I meant by that. Let's see. Jew says, all right. Additional changes. Okay. When you pull a card from a pack, the number of synergies can stay fixed, but the type of synergy would be random. An 85 will have 1 random synergy assigned to a 94 player, would have 3 random synergies. So that has been talked about. The problem you get there is that, say you pull a McDavid, and it has, like, early on in the year, and it's a bad example. Let's say you pull, what would be a really good one? Let's say you pull Dougie Hamilton, okay? And you pull a Dougie Hamilton that has Swarm. What's a really bad one? Heart and Soul, okay? And someone else pulls a Dougie Hamilton that gets Speedster. Like, that's like you're cheapening getting a good pull. Not only is it insanely difficult to pull a high-end card, but it's even more difficult to pull a card with good pulls on it. Like, I think that should be a choice thing. Like, again, like I said to you, the parallel system. You get to parallel 1 or the rank number 1, you unlock a synergy slot, and you can choose between which synergies, right? Like something like that. Then you get up to parallel 3, and you unlock a second synergy slot, and you can choose between multiple synergies. Something like that, I think. More competitive events similar to the GWC. That was the most engaged I've ever been with NHL Hut, and I didn't mind spending money on the game event, boosting my ability to compete. However, after GWC, I had no motivation to grind or spend money. They did do the Champions Club event, but that was during the same time as GWC qualifiers. Also, I 100% agree with the changes mentioned in the video. Okay, so the GWC is now the beginning of the end of Hut every year, which is good and bad, obviously, because once GWC ends, it tanks interest in the game. Like, outside of the most, diehard players, it is over. That is it. You work all year to play GWC. And that is for a very small portion of people, like probably about 1,000 in the world that actually have that mentality. But still, that is a significant part of your player base because they're the ones grinding the game all the time. And then outside of that, it's like whatever. In terms of adding competitive things to the events, like, I would love it if... Man, I would love it if Hut Champs gave you cosmetic things that are flex items. So adding a banner to your arena, you get top 1 ever in Hut Champs, you unlock a special jersey, or maybe your players use gold sticks, like something. And the reason why I think that is because at least, while the event might be over, like that's a goal that you can always hit. In terms of competitiveness, you have an event literally every weekend. Like, Hut Champs is what you should be playing for if you are a super competitive player. I don't think that the comp season argument is so... Like, I understand why people want it because it's something else to play, and it's a different style than Champs. And it allows you to play players that aren't nearly as good as you sometimes because of how the ranking systems work. But when you look back at, like, the actual engagement in the mode, it's very, very low. And we already have a small player base. Like, I think there is a way to make rivals like comp seasons with guaranteed rewards, leaderboards, resets every 2 weeks, like what comp seasons used to be. And then, I don't know. That's going to be something that they have to come up with, but I'm not sure on that one. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for episode 4 of the NHL 22 Wishlist. I'm still trying to get through all these comments. I'm making it my mission to go through all my comments and all the videos for this and just keep it going until we're basically out. So, guys, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Almost at 26,000 subs. I really appreciate it. And come check me out live on Twitch at 12 p.m. noon Eastern time. All right, guys, have a good one.